description for him, which came up a lot, was an industrious player. Very big work rate. Gets stuck in, likes to break up play. And you've spoken. What word did you use for Sunji? Like a disruptor.
Yes.
I think he likes to get in there and likes to get stuck in. That's his style of play. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And on transfer deadline day, Birmingham City made the transfer of Tomoki Iwata from Celtic. Now, a lot of fans might have felt this transfer sort of flew under the radar or kind of didn't get the recognition it deserved because, of course, we all got caught up in the emotion and the excitement of deadline day, and we all know where that ended up going. But let's get into this video. We're going to discuss a little bit about his strengths, a little bit about what value he might add to Birmingham City and where we see him fitting into the team and the squad. So, Dad, Tomoki Iwata, what are your thoughts?
Well, you in the intro mentioned about going under the radar. He must feel like, does anybody know I'm here? Because, he's like most players get announced and then, they have like a welcome, interview. But of course, as you said, everything was going on with Jay Stansfield. And then this was completed just before, obviously, towards the end of transfer deadline day to give us another edition. But from what I've read about this, obviously, we have to research these players, don't we? He's a 27-year-old Japanese international. He is a defensive midfielder, and a lot of the feedback on or the social media from Celtic fans is generally very positive about him, saying that that he's a good player, and that's actually surprised they sold him.
Yeah, I heard exactly the same. He's a Japanese international. Yeah. The Celtic fans didn't want to let him go. Those two things in and of themselves speak massive volumes to me. Again, context here, Dad, League One team. I feel like this is a really good signing, and I know we say that on all the videos. But again, genuinely, from my research, from what I've been seeing, I think this again. He seems like he's got a lot to offer. I mean, I'll come back to where a question for you where I think you think he'll fit in. Yeah. But a lot of Celtic fans were saying on social media, Dad, why wasn't this a loan? Why have we sold him? Because he's, when you talk about squad depth, injuries, and suspensions over the course of a season, the Celtic fans seen him as a pretty good backup. And that's no shame. Celtic are a Champions League team, big team in Scotland, so. All the pointers are there to say that we've got a real player on our hands here. Yeah,
and the research I've been doing on him says that he's got exceptional defensive qualities in midfield and got really good tactical awareness as well. So he does seem like a real important addition to our squad because obviously it is a squad game now, and this does strengthen our overall squad. I think that's what Chris Davis was saying. He wants to create a culture of a squad. So only 11 can get picked to start, but it is a squad game, and all of them are going to play a part. And I think this gives us extra strength in that defensive midfield, which we may need in certain games. Like imagine him not initially starting games. I don't know. It depends on Chris Davis's thoughts, but he could be a real powerhouse off the bench. When we're either trying to defend a lead or we need some other change of style. He looks like a decent player to me, and from as I say, everything I've seen so far about him is actually really, really positive.
Yeah. So the research I did, Dad, a description for him which came up a lot was an industrious player. Very big work rate. Gets stuck in, likes to break up play. And you've spoken. What word did you use for Sunji? Like a disruptor.
Yes.
I think he likes to get in there and likes to get stuck in. That's his style of play. But it's not to be underestimated what he can do moving forward. So he likes to get stuck in. His work rate's really good. And again, Blues fans, we love players like that, don't we? Who just run the engine and get get all that energy in there. But he can get you on the attack as well. So he's. I have got, as always, big positives and areas for possible improvement. But one of the things he likes to do is once he has broken up play, he can get you back on the transition and move you through quickly. So, in midfield, though, Dad, let's call it what it is. We have some exceptional first-team players. We've got Leonard, we've got Paik, we've got a few players off the bench already that can play there. What are your thoughts where he might fit into Birmingham City and the team?
I think it'll be competition for Leonard. I think he'll be. That's what I think. Because obviously, I see Paik as not so much as a defensive midfielder, more of a creative foot forward type of midfielder. But I see Leonard as a disruptor. Although Leonard also, which is why he's such a great player, has that ability to also create, division to do that as well. But I do see him as a competition for that. So if to me, it would be in that sort of Leonard role as a backup to start with. That's pretty much where I think he'll end up.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he might come on in games that you've just alluded to a couple of minutes ago, Dad. When we need to defend the lead, or it's a bit of a cagey game, and we need a bit more energy in the midfield. This guy sounds like a perfect player to come in and just run them ragged for 10 or 15 minutes towards the end of the game. But I don't think he's come down here again to be a bit part player. I think he's again, from the feedback I've been hearing, he is a championship kind of level player. So he's not going to come down to League One to completely sit on the bench. And, I like Chris Davis. He's a very intelligent manager. He gives people chances when they deserve it. So, again, a popular theme from our podcast, Dad, if he puts the work in and proves to Chris Davis he's got it, I'm sure he'll get his chance to start.
Yeah, well, he was initially on loan at Celtic, and they made that loan permanent. So he's been a permanent player for them since July 2023. They paid just shy of $1 million for him.
Wasn't it Ange Postecoglou that actually brought him in from Celtic as well?
It probably would have been at that time,
Yeah,
yes.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously maybe that's where Chris Davis knows him from.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah. I
Connecting the dots on the podcast.
I hadn't actually made that connection. That's a good one as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had him from Yokohama. That he went initially on loan at Celtic and then bought him. So again, I'll give you a few stats about him, just as we do with all players. So he played most of his games for a team called Oita Trinita, which is a Japanese. I presume that's a lower league Japanese side. He made 121 games, 8 goals, 10 assists. Now I wouldn't play too much into that because obviously as a defensive midfielder you're not going to expect to see lots of goals and lots of assists. It's more to do with their way that they actually sort of supplement the team.
I told you, Dad, just interrupt you really quickly. I think that's a really important point because, we did a video about Lyndon Dykes and we were talking about stats. Someone commented and saying, well, stats don't show you how they get stuck in and how they disrupt play and how they annoy defenders and get them rattled up. There's certain things that stats can't show you. So I'm just making a point to say, although we're very stat heavy on this podcast, they don't paint the entire picture of a player.
Yeah, which is true, and I agree with that. But then when you get a new player coming in, all we've got to go on is stats because we don't know them at that level, which is why we invite the comments off, Celtic fans. Let us know in the comments below what you think about this chap, and it's always useful to help us get a better understanding of him as well. He played 82 games for Yokohama, 3 goals, 4 assists, and 42 games for Celtic, 1 goal and 3 assists. So that would be in his loan period and the permanent. He's played in J League 1, J League 2, and J League 3. So that's every level of the Japanese league. He's got experience in different levels. He's also played 4 times for the Japanese full Japanese team, as well as the under-19s and the under-18s. Now, again, because we're so early in the season, I always look back at the previous season to see how much of a part they played in the team. So this is going back to Celtic's season, last season. So it started off when very much in the first 14 games where he was on the bench or not in the squad. That could have been because of injury, could have been because he wasn't picked. And that actually continued really up until game 25, not in the squad. That could have been because of some lengthy periods there, so I think that could have been injury. But then when he comes from game 27 all the way through to the end of the season, he's basically playing 70, 80, 90 minutes all the way through. That's including when the Scottish League splits, the Premier League splits, and he's played most of the minutes up until it's split, and when it's split it goes down again to about 20 minutes. I think he was a sub coming on. So again, like we said with other players, I think it's a case of he's not getting as much football as he'd like, and he feels that the move is probably at the right time for his professional career.
Yeah, I feel like he's, again, in the same bundle as sort of Scott Wright and Ben Davies, kind of, good players, quality players, but maybe they've had a little bit of a slump in terms of playing time at their clubs, and they just need to get a bit more energy and a bit more vigoration into their career. So, again, Birmingham City, I don't want to say on the rise, I was about to say on the rise again, but all that project on the rise again, it's quite polarising. But, a club on a mission, a club rising the leagues again. I think this is a perfect place for players like that to get back some minutes, get back their reputation, and prove to us what they're about, Dad.
I'm quite looking forward to seeing him, to be honest.
I like players like this.
Again, the heat map.
Go for it.
This is a really interesting one because he's a midfield player. So as we've said, he's predominantly a defensive midfield player. But actually, most of his oranges and reds, which is the more intense areas of the pitch, are actually just slightly in the opposition half. But then there is lots of red and oranges in the defensive half as well. So he very much is a player that is going to be very much like a Mark Leonard, like we said. He's going to be all over that midfield, breaking up play and creating chance. So to me, he looks like a player that is going to add an awful lot to the squad when he comes on.
Yeah, and just like your heat map, Dad, I've got my little positives and improvements for him as well. So big positives: energy, which we said his work rate is his biggest ability of the game. Interceptions, defensive awareness, work rate, tackling, and short passing. And his improvements are physicality, balance, fouling, and consistency. So again, coming back to my original comment, Dad, from the Celtic fans, they think he's a quality player. I think he needs to improve his consistency over longer periods of time. So he has like a moment in games, or he has the odd game, whereas if he can improve that consistency, I think, again, we've got a real player on our hands. And physicality might stump some people because of the type of player he is. I think he gets stuck in, he works hard, he grafts, he'll put a foot in and a challenge in. But I think the physicality comes back to the whole, Miyoshi thing, just in terms of literal height and weight. So, again, all these things are exactly what you'd sort of expect from his position and where he is. And again, I think with him working with Chris Davis, I think, again, he could be in for an exciting season with us.
Yeah, and the final point for me is I like his age, 27. That tells you that, he's of a player. Because we said this about other players that we brought in. They're at that age now where they should be starting their peak. This is players, and also 27 is not like a young player where they're trying to gain experience. At 27, you've got experience.
I'd say it's your best years coming.
I'd say so. Yeah, 27 to 30 is probably going to be your ultimate peak. I mean, some players go outside that for all sorts of different reasons, but
as an average,
I'd say 27 to 30 is probably the peak. So we've got him right at the right age in terms of right at the start of that peak journey. And as I say, I'm looking forward to seeing him. I think we might get a glimpse of him on Tuesday because we're going to the Warsaw game. So exciting. In fact, actually, this will go out on Wednesday, won't it? So the game would have happened by then.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So actually, so we just so that you know that we're recording this a few days earlier because Blues have kept us so busy trying to keep up with all these new players. So we're playing Warsaw on Tuesday in the AFL Trophy, but this will go out on Wednesday, won't it? Yeah. So we'll give you a report on the Warsaw game in a future video and let you know if he comes on, how he got on. Yeah. But nothing else from me. I think it's just another great addition. I say felt a bit sorry for him. He got sort of left out a little bit. Let's say in the Jade Stansfield hype.
Yeah, I think everyone got caught up in the emotion of the day, didn't they? That this transfer kind of went under the radar, and it's a brilliant transfer. Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm really excited to see what he's got, and exciting season ahead for him, I think.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So as always, Blues fans, we'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on on this transfer side? And also, did you miss this one? Not miss it, but did it kind of fly under the radar for you as well? Obviously, we all got caught up on the deadline day with Stansfield and going back and forth on there. But please let us know your thoughts. In the comment section below. Me and Dad love sort of reading those comments and getting around to those when we can. And if you like this video in particular, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And we're also on social media channels now. So we've got an X page, an Instagram page, and we're on Spotify. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel already, please don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And myself and Dad will see you on the next video.